I'm back with executive producer and co-showrunner of the ARK, Jonathan Glassner. He also co-created this little show called Stargate SG-1 back in the day. Welcome back, sir. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too, David.
This is a wild time for you. You've got a brand new show launching. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
What are you most excited about? It's airing next week on our time.
I'm excited to see what the audience thinks of it. I never know. I do some shows that I am not real proud of that turn out to be huge hits, and then I do shows that I think are fantastic and they don't take off. So I never know. I happen to think this show is great. I'm loving every second of it, and very proud of it. So hoping the audience thinks so too.
Absolutely. I want to know right off the bat, because I was a huge fan of 1899, and then they killed it. And a lot of us were watching these shows drop like flies. How long is your game plan for this series? What is your intent? Do you have a specific number of seasons of an arc? Are you kind of playing it as you go? Where are you at?
We have thought ahead, probably one more season, just because I learned long ago that if you think too far ahead, unless you're doing a show like Lost that has one giant secret, I learned that if you think ahead, it ends up going in the trash anyway, because actors give you something that you hadn't thought of, things work that you thought would work, and things don't work that you also thought would work, and you end up going down different paths, and then it's like trying to get back on track is crazy. So we thought this season beginning to end before we even started writing it, and we have a pretty good idea of next season, and God willing, there's another season after that. I'm sure we'll probably have an idea of what it is halfway through next season.
Have there been surprises along the way that production, that cast have shown are possible, and your story is going to be adjusting to correspond with that?
Not really. It's weird. The show has gone kind of exactly as planned. The only thing I will say is things, nuanced things. There have been things that, these actors are amazing. We got so lucky with our casting, and we'll be watching dailies and they'll do something. There'll be some little look to the other person, some nuance that Dean and I will say, well, what was that? That kind of makes me feel like this is going to happen. Maybe we should go down that path, and but those are more for their personal stories, their individual stories. The overarching story, we've pretty much stuck to.
Okay, good. How has the set worked out for you as in shooting in Serbia? I mean, I read a New York Post article with Dean. He was like, the production value that we're getting out of Serbia is just stellar.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, we did The Outpost together there for 4 years, or 3 years of the 4 years. And we basically just, when Outpost got canceled, we just said, let's keep that crew and keep that those sound stages and move over to this show because they were great. So that's what we did. It doesn't really matter where we shoot this show because it's completely inside the ship.
That's certainly true.
Yeah.
Or exteriors, which are also the same thing, kind of.
Right. Well, we were originally in Serbia because of money, but also because they actually have medieval castles and things like that for the Outpost. But we don't need this on this show.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you have a well-oiled machine, why fix something that isn't broken?
Yeah,
and you have the willing talent to pull it off. So,
yeah, exactly.
Who have been your surprise rising star performers out of this crew that you think that the audience is really going to attach themselves to, or you personally are attached to?
I can't pick between my babies. It's I will say that every show I've ever done, pretty much, you go through the casting and the actors nail the audition, and you feel like fingers crossed they can actually do this. But you never know if they've been practicing with a teacher for weeks to get that one performance right, and then they show up on the set and they're not very good, which has happened to me before. And in this case, it was an international cast, so we never met any of them in person before we started shooting. It was all done over Zoom. As soon as we started seeing dailies, we were like, nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. Every one of them has just been great. So I'll tell you, we don't have any weak links. That's for sure. They're just great.
They're delivering.
Yeah.
So are you still in production, or are you through the 12th?
No, we're finished. We're finished. We're still doing some visual effects work, but other than that.
Okay. Wow. And so you're just waiting for an order for season 2 then, basically, is what this comes down to.
Yeah.
All right. I got to tell you, I've watched the first episode. We're not going to get into spoilers yet. This is spoiler free so far. But Stacey Reed, she's great to watch, and she's spunky. You know?
Yeah, she's great. And you know what? I found out later, we didn't know this when we cast her, but she's actually sort of a geek herself. She reads science. So she actually apparently was walking around the set talking to the other casting, this is true. This is how. So it's very much her in a way. I mean, she's a lot hipper than the character, but.
Well, isn't that great when you could bring something kind of real in the present into your product?
Yeah.
So, and I think she may be distantly related to me. READ. My British ancestor is a Reed. Her dad is British too. So,
wow, wouldn't that be weird?
I know. And Ryan Adams, he's kind of like perhaps kind of like a counterpart to her. I enjoyed really watching these two. So Stacey was playing Alicia Nevins, and Ryan is the 4-H kid, they called him, Angus Medford. He was cool to watch too. But I loved how you have the characters, and like if you're in high school, you can see which tables all these people would sit at. But that's really fun.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. Well, you see where the show can potentially go from the first episode. We have to kind of, in our minds, okay, this person goes in this box, this person kind of goes in this box. But as we watch, it's going to be like, okay, who's going to be stepping out of their box and giving us, something that we don't expect based on this personality trope that we see in front of us, and where they've been placed on the ship in the hierarchy.
Yeah, well, I will say that out of necessity, because of the structure of the story of the pilot, it starts with the disaster instead of, the sort of this traditional way that a lot of these shows are done. Pretty much every show I've ever done also. You first get to meet the characters, kind of get to know them before the shit hits the fan. In this case, the shit hits the fan, and then you get to meet the characters. And out of necessity, they have to be somewhat they have to sort of be prototypes at first, because you're not going to have time to stop and say, well, this is what happened in my past, and they've got to fix the oxygen or they're going to die. So as you watch the series, their characters blossom into full-blown, really interesting characters, and most of them are not what you expect. Some of them are, but most of them are not.
I love, personally, slower sci-fi. And one of the great things about SG-1 was you got both. Is every episode going to be a frenzy? We have to fix this next thing or we're going to die? Or is there room for slow character development, two people in a room talking, figuring things out together?
I tend to write, and so does Dean, in the style that Stargate was written in.
Okay.
It's, it's both. The shit will always be hitting the fan inside. But we really delve into these characters and get to know them well, and relationships bloom and fall apart, and it's a character drama first and foremost.
What has the feedback been like for the show in the press tour that you've done so far? Are people really excited about it?
So far, it's been amazing. The science fiction press in particular seems to really love it. They got, most of the press got the first 4 episodes, and I think every single one of them said they can't wait to see the 5th episode. They're all hooked. So when you watch the show, stick with it.
What kind of time frame does the first season cover? Are we talking a few weeks? Are we talking the full?
TV time is strange. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't follow a natural time. So we don't really know how long it all is. We know where
Okay.
to get to, which I'm not going to tell you.
We don't get to a planet? What? It's a space station.
Or when we get to the planet, I should say.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say it's a period of months, almost maybe a year total.
One of the things that was, as a kind of a science geek myself, was trying to figure out when I was watching the shows, like, how fast is this ship going? Are they going faster than light? Are we dealing with relativistic travel? We don't appear to be going that fast. And if we're going as fast as the ship appears to be going, we wouldn't have reached the Kuiper belt in 5 years, leaving the solar system. And then in the preview at the end, we see the ship actually moving, which suggests that it has been traveling at a faster than light speed for most of that time, or it jumps. And you guys figured out how that works.
One of the things we're trying to do, because the show is not set thousands of years in the future, it's set 100 years or so in the future. So we're trying to base off of actual technology today. And you'll notice, for example, the computer consoles look like today's computers. The propulsion method on the ship is based on, well, you're a science geek, so I'll tell you, nuclear electrical propulsion, NEP, which is a real theory that NASA is actually about to launch a test vehicle to do, I think, in 2 years. First, let me take a step back. When you're writing science fiction, there's science and there's fiction. And in order to have an interesting storyline, you can't stick completely to the science in a show that's exciting like this one. I mean, you can if it's a show about the science, you know what I mean? But if it's a show about people and travel and all that, you gotta cheat a little bit. The best example in the pilot is, the anti-gravity thing. That doesn't exist and probably never will exist without a giant rotating thing. But we'd still be shooting the first 15 minutes of the show now if we did the whole show in zero gravity. So, you have to take your hits. So in the case of NEPS right now, they think will go, I think they said it'll go about 40% of the speed of light. We're saying that it will go just under the speed of light. So it goes up to like 99% of the speed of light. So before we were hit, that's how fast we were going.
And then the ship returned to normal space.
Once we took the hit, we're in normal space the whole time because we're not going faster than the speed of light. So there's no...
I see.
But once we took the hit, we're on what Star Trek would have called impulse power. We're moving a little slowly until we fix everything.
Hey, sport.
We know you're still sleeping, but we know that we'll all be reunited in the colony that you built.
No one told us what happened to the ship. Whatever happened, it knocked us off course.
Where's the captain? Everybody that was in charge of running this ship is dead. It all falls to us now. We have some of the most brilliant engineers and scientists chosen to build a colony from scratch on an alien planet.
We're the furthest out anyone's ever been. Who could attack us?
I've got bad news.
There's only 4 days of water left.
Life support warning.
There is no air left in the ship.
If someone doesn't do this, our journey ends here.
I've got to be honest. I really thought traveling faster than the speed of light was going to be a little more fun.
Let's crank it up.
Every single person matters.
We're in a war for survival. Not everyone is going to make it.
Thank you for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving us a thumbs up with that like button. It will encourage the algorithm to show this to other Stargate fans. Also, please consider sending this to a fellow Stargate friend. I also want to invite you to subscribe to future episodes right here on YouTube. We are a live show, so changes are likely to happen all the time. And if you plan on joining us live, you'll want to be the first to know. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com for the complete guest schedule so you'll know when to join us and ask your very own questions to our guests. See you on the other side.